here today with Richie Wong and Peter Bennett, the directors of the school. My name is Paul Capurso. I'm the president of the district council. And today we're just going to talk about some of the training in regards to the apprentices and the availability to work for apprentices. So, guys, I had some questions that came in from some of the business reps through some of the apprentices that are not only working in the field, but the ones that are currently not working. And I just wanted to have that discussion with you guys today, right?
Yeah.
So some of the questions that came in, if I've worked enough hours and the pandemic has delayed my school-related advancement, will I have the opportunity to make up any required classes?
Yeah, we're doing everything in our power to help each and every apprentice make up classes. We're recognizing classes that normally wouldn't be recognized in their apprenticeship, and going up and above. This is working in concert with the New York State Department of Labor, staying within the apprentice guidelines, but we're now able to recognize classes that are done, that are up and above and beyond the requirements, meaning night classes, skill enhancement classes, safety classes, online classes that they might have taken through the UBC, or even with outside vendors. If they did an Ocean 30 or something like that, we'll recognize them and give them school credit and help them move ahead.
So that leads me to some of the other questions I had regarding the on-site, the physical training aspect of it, the physical work hours, right? And, you know, anytime an economy fluctuates, you know, in our time as going back as apprentices, you know, there sometimes becomes a shortfall if you get caught in a recession. And I think that this is no different, but there'll be no change to the work hours. They're still going to be required to meet their work hours, right?
We had asked that question at the Department of Labor back in the beginning when this whole pandemic was starting. That's the one place where they can't accommodate, because, you know, if I give work hours to one individual who didn't work, then I have to give work hours to an individual who did. It becomes very hard to do. You can't do that. Unfortunately, we're not allowed to do that. So it's a good reason for apprentices to get back to work, to move ahead with the program. You know, well, the job sites are through the help of the council, have all the proper PPE, so we can help them move ahead. And we're not here to penalize anybody, but there are some certain rules and regulations with our standards in the Department of Labor for their apprenticeship program that the apprentices signed on to that they need to do. And work hours are one of the things that we can't just fabricate. They need to work.
So you spoke about PPE. So what the council's done through CCA Metro, which is the labor management arm of the organization, is we pre-purchased PPE for the new normal. You know, we did a Zoom meeting with the shop stewards, and we're currently preparing for a foreman's meeting. We thought it was important to do the interview with you guys for the apprentices to make sure that they're on board and they understand that. Number one is that PPE should be supplied by the employer, right? And number two is that we are trying to create a safe working environment for everybody to go back to work. And number three, that there's work opportunities that are out there for any apprentice that currently wants to go to work, right? We currently have outstanding requests to be fulfilled for apprentices. And I know that you guys are working on it. When this happened, we were kind of in the middle of indenturing a new group of apprentices, right?
Correct.
So maybe you guys can give us a little update of, you know, some of the new process that's taking place as far as the interview process and where we're at with training with that.
Okay. Well, Richie was pretty much running all the orientation, so Richie can have that one.
So we're still running the orientations. We just started yesterday, since we got back into the building a couple of weeks ago. Started with they had the first orientation, they had their interview already. We're on the second orientation right now, getting everybody back in. By next week, they'll be in their OSHA class and their scaffold class. They'll be out to work within a week and a half from now.
So a lot of that's been done virtually, right, through Zoom as far as the orientation?
We're doing that correct right now. We have first orientation coming up starting next week also with the group that was supposed to, the specialties, whether the millwrights, high-rise concrete, cabinet makers, floor covers, dock builders, timbermen. Okay, so we're doing those next week starting the first orientation. We also will be doing the interviews immediately after that via Zoom online.
Yeah,
And
first orientation, though, we do need to bring them in.
Yeah.
There's about 83 on that list right now, so we're going to bring them in two segments because we have to stay within our capacity as per the guidelines. So we're going to start next week. We'll bring in a group in the morning and have them socially distanced in the common room, and then we'll bring in a group in the afternoon and do the same, and we'll get all 83 done in one day.
So I know there's some misunderstanding out there from some of the stuff that I've seen as far as the phases, right? And, you know, that's not governed by us, that's governed by the city and state, how they move forward on these phases. But I think with the first thing that everybody needs to understand is that under emergency essential, the union, we had people working through the whole pandemic, so we had jobs open under emergency essential, as well as the back offices for the carpenters have been open. So like you guys said, the training center was open, the council's been open, the business reps have been working. But under phase two, which is the phase that we're currently under, I know that we have some in-person training. I know that we walked through the school the other day and the floor covers were in there, the millwrights, and we've done some timberman training as well. So it's good to let everybody know that there is some in-person training involved. So getting back to the questions, have there been any discussions on whether or not a class will be established going forward that may be required to adapt to the new personal safety protocols?
Well, the International Training Center, UBC, have an LMS program, that's a learning management system. And all members really, especially apprentices, but all members should take the COVID-19 and ICRA awareness classes online. We'll also recognize those class hours, anything that they do with the LMS, we'll recognize. I mean, if somebody needs like a ridiculous amount of class hours, like 8 hours or 16 hours or something like that, they took those 2 classes, me and Rich we're looking at each apprentice and how we can help them move forward. You know, if you needed like 8 hours to have that amount of hours to satisfy the Department of Labor in your apprenticeship, we'll count those hours, we'll upgrade them to the next level. Everybody should have it. We sent it out to the apprentices as a mandatory class.
Okay.
Some people have issues getting on, especially with their phones, I think, onto the LMS, but I know Vegas has been working hard to rectify any of that. And if they have any issues, they can call the school and we can help them, you know.
Okay.
But yeah, their COVID-19 class and ICRA awareness are 2 classes that I would definitely highly recommend everybody getting. And once they get to COVID-19, they can put their names on the out-of-work list as essential.
Okay. Is there a list of certifications that have had the expiration dates extended, or are all expiring certs extended due to unavailability of classes?
The UBC has extended all CITF certifications, rigging, scaffold, anything that's a CITF certification that we teach at the schools, have been extended for 180 days. That's for every member in the country and Canada. New York City, specifically in New York State, under the state of emergency, Mayor de Blasio signed Executive Order number 120, and it's stated in that order, throughout the pendency of the state of emergency, that all certifications and cards needed to get on job sites would be extended. So right now everybody's okay to go back to work, and we're working hard to make sure that we have classes available so that people can come back in and get their certifications before hopefully the state of emergency is lifted.
Okay. So another question is when is my next class?
Students can call the training center, or they can check their training verification cards, or they can email us. The lines are opened at the school. We're answering the phones. We never shut down. There's always been somebody answering the phones. And we check the emails constantly, and they can reach out, and we'll let them know what the next class will be and when.
Okay. What do I do if I need an upgrade level?
You can reach out to either myself or Richard directly. You can call the school, ask for Laura Taylor. Laura does all the upgrades. You can email us at ctc@nycdcctc.org and request an upgrade letter there. It's always good if you check and make sure your hours are correct. And we're doing everything we can to upgrade any apprentice.
So, is there a list of classes I could take in the evening?
Yes, there are. If you go on the CTC website, there's a list of classes, online classes. At this point, it's mostly health and safety.
Correct.
SST classes. So Department of Buildings has not pushed back the SST requirement date of September 1st. So everybody should have an OSHA 30 8-hour fall protection and 2-hour drug and alcohol, and they'll get a full 40 hours.
To follow those guidelines.
Yes, follow those guidelines.
One of the questions that came in was regarding fall protection. I know that we're doing virtual fall protection, but what happens, how does that work as far as the physical aspect of it? What happens then?
The UBC doesn't usually allow us to do a distant learning class. In our situation, they've allowed us to do two, 4-hour scaffold user and the 8-hour fall protection. So 4-hour scaffold user, the actual scaffold user is an 8-hour course that's CITF recognized. So when somebody does a 40-hour scaffold, they get a 4-hour scaffold user card, but they did 8 hours of training to get that 4-hour card. In New York, because of the laws, everybody has to have a 4-hour scaffold user. We have a special 4-hour scaffold user that's recognized by the Department of Buildings. We're allowed to do that class via Zoom. And the 8-hour fall protection too, we're allowed to do that class via Zoom. With the 8-hour fall protection though, for the CITF part of it, at some point the members will have to come in and don the equipment, inspect the equipment, and show us that they understand the whole safety concept of fall equipment.
I appreciate you guys coming today, right? We wanted to make it short and sweet, and we're hoping that everybody takes the opportunity to look at this video. A couple of key things that everybody should remember is on the back of your union card, there's some vital phone numbers on the back. You'll have a phone number there for the out-of-work list. There's phone numbers there to contact the rep centers. The school numbers the apprentices should have. I would like to think that if anybody has a question or any questions at this point that we didn't cover in this session, that you certainly reach out to the school, a business rep, a local union representative, or even your shop steward on the job, right? But our goal is to try to provide as much information as we could based on some of the feedback we received from emails and some of the apprentices on the jobs that are currently working. But one of the key takeaways I'd like to make sure that the apprentices have is that, number one is the school is open and training is continuing, right? You're gonna need to continue your training both in person and your work hours. And number two is that there's certainly work opportunities available, and I would like to think that everybody takes as much of an opportunity as that they can to make sure that they can progress along in their career as a carpenter. With that said, I appreciate you guys today coming and sitting and talking with me, and we look forward to seeing everybody in person soon. Everybody stay safe, be healthy, and we look forward to seeing you. Thank you.
Thank you.